When an individual takes up spiritual practices, the first expectation is that progress will be steady and upward toward the spiritual objective. This usually comes about through some experiences that take the individual out of his normal external view and ego standpoint temporarily, and which point out the way forward. This is more or less the honeymoon phase of spiritual development. Afterward, as the individual begins to grapple with the various needs, desires, demands, and expectations of the physical, vital, and mental elements of the being, along with the central element of the ego personality that binds these together in a particular way, the struggles can begin. At that point, things that would not have been of concern prior to the spiritual awakening suddenly take on a much greater importance to the seeker. He begins to notice the various actions and reactions, the rising of vital desires and impulses, and he can begin to see the underlying consciousness of the vital animal nature continuing to pressure him to satisfy that element of the being. He may begin to worry about whether he is truly cut out for the spiritual path and whether he is doomed to take his next birth in a form that more closely approximates the type of vital drives that he sees rising up within him. It is important at this point to recognize that these elements are part of the earth nature that needs to be taken up, understood, addressed, and changed. They are not personal to the individual seeker, but represent, more broadly, the forces of the past stages of the evolution of consciousness. The seeker can then realize that there is no going back, but there are going to be times and seasons when, for one reason or another, these past atavisms take center stage and will need to be dealt with. Spiritual development, then, is not a straight line. Sometimes a progress in one direction can only take place after a specific development in another direction has occurred. In his book, The Mother, Sri Aurobindo references such a process in his description of the mother's power of Mahasaraswati. Quote, "Molding and remolding, she labors each part till it has attained its true form, is put in its exact place in the whole, and fulfills its precise purpose. In her constant and diligent arrangement and rearrangement of things, her eye is on all needs at once, and the way to meet them, and her intuition knows what is to be chosen and what rejected, and successfully determines the right instrument, the right time, the right conditions, and the right process." End quote. There is no fixed path or steps that everyone must take in a specific way or time. Rather, each individual's specific circumstance, starting point, developmental stage in each part of the being, and the needs of the general evolutionary force at that time and place will determine how each seeker, specific steps and processes. Some will work out things primarily in one area or another, while others may be called upon to have a more multifarious developmental program. Sri Aurobindo observes, quote, "There may be what seems to be retrograde movements, but these are only like zigzag movements, not a real falling back, but a return on something not worked out so as to go on better afterwards. The soul does not go back to the animal condition, but a part of the vital personality may disjoin itself and join an animal birth to work out its animal propensities there. The soul, the psychic being, once having reached the human consciousness, cannot go back to the inferior animal consciousness any more than it can go back into a tree or an ephemeral insect. What is true is that some part of the vital energy, or the formed instrumental consciousness or nature can, and very frequently does so, if it is strongly attached to anything, in the earth life. This may account for some cases of immediate rebirth with full memory in human forms also. Ordinarily, it is only by yogic development or by clairvoyance that the exact memory of past lives can be brought back. End quote. Reference: Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, The Psychic Being, Soul, Its Nature, Mission, and Evolution, Section 4, The Afterlife and Rebirth, pages 131 to 132.